We're going to begin with the presentation of the results of this first half. We are indeed on a barge, so it is swaying, so don't worry. So the first half was marked by instability, economic, political, geopolitical, even in the United States, where the economy is recovering. People are waiting to see about the American elections and the preparation to these elections. So the environment is not very favorable, especially for business aircraft. There's also Brexit in Europe that is creating a lot of uncertainty, and we know that the economic world is not very much in favor of all these uncertainties. So Rafale export, we have delivered 3 Rafales to Egypt in addition to the other 3 we delivered last year. So 6 have been delivered out of the 24 ordered. Qatar, 24 have been ordered. We haven't begun deliveries. This will come about later. India, we are continuing our negotiations right now. We'll see if there'll be questions later on, but at this stage, we have reached the end of our discussions, and we're waiting for the final decision from India to sign this contract. We are, of course, continuing all our activities in all the other countries interested by the Rafale, and there are a certain number of them. In France, we've delivered 4 Rafale during the first half of the year. So the total of deliveries is 146 out of 180 ordered, particularly for this fourth section. And if you minus 180 and 146, you have the remainder, that is the phase 4. And the phase 2 has been put off because of the budgetary cut, because of the military law program. As for the delivery of the FR to be delivered to the French naval forces, well, it is continuing. These aircraft are being retrofitted, and we're continuing export to Iran, Iraq, to our aircraft carrier in Syria that is going to leave soon, and we have to keep supporting our armies. As for Mirage 2000, the notification of the contract for the upgrade of the Mirage 2000, this has been notified to Dassault and to MBDA, so now this contract is enforced. We are also going to support Mirage MCO, which is this program called Mirage Care. India, we're continuing the modernization, the upgrading of Mirage 2000. We're going to transfer it to HAL in India, and there is technical support to HAL to pursue this upgrading. Qatar, visits have begun, inspections have begun. Mirage 2000 and Alpha Jet, we've sent teams to carry out this work locally, and there will be inspections in the United Arab Emirates and Egypt. Technical assistance teams will be sent to those countries, teams that operate our Mirage 2000 in operational conditions too. Maritime patrol and maritime surveillance, we are continuing upgrading our ATL-2. We are also going to continue with the ATL-2 care for 2 years. Falcon Surmar, as was shown to you, we're going to deliver the last retrofit of the Falcon 50, and we've obtained a 3rd contract with the Japanese Coast Guards with the Falcon 2000 for maritime surveillance. As for the future, in the military area and the drones, more particularly, as for the Neuron, we have been awarded an additional contract. Tests are being carried out with the DGA to check additional confrontations to air-to-air and ground-based air defense systems. And in the naval context, you can see it here on this picture, the Neuron is being assessed in the naval environment. A patrol in an air show, so beyond the beautiful pictures and the show to the public, we are preparing this flight. This flight was done in a public area, so we demonstrated security according to the standards imposed by the DGA. So there was the whole security work that was made for this particular flight, which shows our know-how in this area. And this is a world premiere. Nobody else had done any such demonstration of this kind of flight in the past. With the UK, I'm not going to make any comments on the Brexit, but as for the Lancaster House Treaty and the Amiens Treaty that was signed at the beginning of the year, we are pursuing our studies with our British partners, and we are now preparing a new offer for the end of the year, and this will come after our studies to launch an operational demonstrator. As for the MALE drone, we have finalized our agreements with 4 countries, Germany, Italy, Spain, and France. 3 companies are going to share and work together for these studies: Airbus, Leonardo Finmeccanica, and Dassault Aviation. This contract will be awarded by OCCAR in the next 5 weeks. As for the Falcon, 2016 was the year of the Falcon 8X, certification of EASA of the 8X on June 24, 2016, and we're very proud of that because it's always a very difficult step. The standards are extremely stringent, and this was followed by the transposition, the certification of FAA just after. And now we can deliver the first aircraft after the last retrofitting we've carried out in order to finalize this commissioning. We have validated the operational capacity of the 8X, not only certification. We've gone around the world, and this allowed us to validate not only the capacity, the performance, the operating performance of this aircraft in real places, real airports around the world, but also in terms of its reliability. The pilots, when they returned, showed us how satisfied they were because they were really aware of the fact that this 8X was extremely reliable. And this was very important to do before commissioning. Now, as for the 5X, as I've already said at the beginning of the year, after the difficulties we encountered for the development of the 5X engine, the Silver Crest by Snecma Safran Engines, the new development plan that takes into account all the corrections on the engine was given to us by Snecma at the beginning of the year. And so now we have our new development plan for this 5X Falcon, and we're planning to commission this in 2020 compared to the end of 2017, which was the date of the launch of this program a few years ago. Now, the Falcon product line, we have a product line of from 3,350 nautical miles up to 6,450 nautical miles, and the arrival of the 8X. So, as I said, the market is a bit sluggish right now in some countries in the world, so there is a lot of pressure on us in the number of orders, in terms of our negotiations and prices. A lot of pressure is exerted on our prices, but we have to keep selling this whole product line. As for self-funded R&D, because of this slowdown in the 5X, because what we should have done this year has been put off because of this new schedule, we have slowed down our expenditure in R&D, and so therefore we have spent in the first half 130 million euros compared to the 200 million last year. So therefore we will spend less this year in terms of R&D.
Regarding the shareholdership, you've seen what's happened. Airbus Group
put up for sale some of its shares, and some of those shares were purchased directly by ourselves, and others were put on the market. And some then were turned into convertible bonds, which, following the transaction, if they're converted, Airbus would no longer hold shares in Dassault Aviation. And basically, it means that when we've cancelled the shares that we purchased, the treasury stocks, therefore, the GIMD will have around 62% of the equity base of Dassault Aviation, and the free float will be a bit more than 27% at that point in time. In the end, when Airbus will have seen the bonds converted, there will be 10% more, roughly, in terms of the free float. So the chart is the current situation, well, yesterday and today, and that will change, of course, as a function of what I've just been saying, when shares have been cancelled, so as to make it accretive for all of our shareholders. Now, if you look at the order intake for the Falcons, 22 planes compared with 25 the previous year. Last year, we had minus 20 for the net jets, but this year we have 11 cancellations of 5Xs because of the delay, because of the engine delay. So netted out, it's 11 airplanes. But I wanted to present it this way so you can see that we're continuing to sell airplanes in this range apart, independently of the 5X. Now, if you look at the Rafales, well, no new contract to flag up this year. Deliveries, we delivered 15 Falcons to be compared with 18 previously. That is mainly to do with the slackening of the sales, and we delivered 7 Rafales to be compared with 1 last year in the first half. And that means in terms of the consolidated order books, 87 Falcons in the order book to be compared with 91 last year, and 76 Rafales to be compared with the 83 we had last year. In terms of the numbers, the order intake this year is 1.4 billion worth. The sales figure is identical to last year's figure, 1.7 billion, and the backlog 13.9 billion euro worth to be compared with 14.2 billion last year. Around 80% of these deliveries will be made outside of France. Then the hedging, well, the good news is the dollar has continued to go up. So we're positioned at $1.23 to the euro in the first half of 2016 to be compared with 1.25 in the first half of last year. However, we have weighing on the balance sheet the fact that the fixing is a bit different. 1.11 compared with 1.09 for the first half, whereas last year it was 1.12 compared with 1.21. So that, of course, weighs on the income. Regarding the actual consolidated, adjusted income statement, rather, you have, firstly, 185 million euro income to be compared with 179 last year. That's 11.1%. That's the adjusted net income figure, 11.1%. And it's almost the same as last year's figure, but the operating income is going down for a few reasons. Firstly, the first two negatives are the pressure on the price of the Falcons. Then the second thing is the fixing I just mentioned in terms of the currencies, and in spite of the fact that we spent less in terms of self-funding, that should have brought up our operating income. So the adjusted financial income, 17 million, close to what we had last year. The adjusted income tax, minus 48. Thales, and we heard their results today. The board, they transmitted their figures to us. That's the portion in the adjusted net income, 89 million euro worth. You'll have all the comments on that tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow that they will be communicating. And then the other equity affiliates, 2. So that gives us the figure I mentioned earlier of the adjusted net income being 185 million euro. Now, in terms of available cash, 2.9 billion at the end of 2015. Now it's 2.4. And what weighs on the cash situation is the fact that we, of course, purchased shares that we cancelled, 500 million worth or so. We have the inventories and work in process, 0.6. The down payments, mainly the export Rafales, and the rest, and the others, it's dividends, statutory, non-statutory profit sharing, and so on and so forth. Now, the outlook for 2016, for the full year, well, we think there is definitely weakness at the moment in the business jet market. And we're not the only ones affected with our Falcons. It affects our competitors, Bombardier and Gulfstream, just as well. And our forecast, well, you see it on the screen, we said that 60 would be hard to achieve. And I think we should now forecast 50 Falcons, given the sluggish sales compared to previously. So 50 Falcons compared to 55 that were delivered in 2015. 9 Rafales for the full year, 2016, 6 for France and 3 for Egypt. And the net sales figure should be below the 2015 level, we think, especially as in 2015 we incorporated the income from the deliveries, the upgrades of the Indian Mirage 2000s. Then our strategy, the longer-term, medium-term strategy, well, it remains the same. Selling the Rafales to India, well, that's part of the efforts we're putting in the whole time, and it's in the immediate term, and we're looking into possibilities with other prospects, of course, as well. We've got to sell the whole Falcon range, of course, everywhere we can. Of course, we're making efforts to keep our market shares, even though it's weighing on our prices, and we are trying to develop the Falcon 5X because despite the challenging environment, we're quite convinced that it's the right airplane for this range with the large size cabin in particular. And we want to get France to clarify its position, of course, regarding the future of the Rafales for France. Also, there might be a fifth tranche. We don't know. It's been 180 up to now, but we hope there will be a fifth tranche. Now, given the feedback from our operational experience, we hope that France will clarify its position and will draft the 2020 to 2025 Military Procurement Act in our favour. Now, we're always on the watch regarding technology in areas that are aerospace, suborbital flight, and pyrotechnics as well. We have an ongoing interest in these things because these technologies are useful for ejectable seats, for example, in airplanes, just as well as these technologies are used in aerospace, in rockets. So the execution of this strategy, we are currently considering a progressive transformation plan in the company. In our company, we've always been able to step up our efforts when necessary. We want to focus on our corporate culture. We are a flexible company, and we've got to make flexibility the byword in everything we do, and keep on enhancing quality levels because our clients are more and more demanding on quality. We also have to focus on digital tools, which will be in the center stage. We've got to use them to design our airplanes, but also the digital world will enable us to automate our manufacturing more. So processes and digital manufacturing means are, of course, in the forefront of our efforts. We want to become more and more integrated. And program management, once the contracts are signed, once the programs are launched, you've got to do proper program management, program by program, and we want to rationalize our industrial tools as well. Specialize per location. So for strategic, depending on the strategic sectors, there are things we can do that others can't do, and we've got to be able to subcontract what others can do then, so as to have it weigh less on our costs and gain in terms of our competitive edge. We've started on that transformation already. We had completion in Mérignac and Little Rock, and we moved everything to Little Rock. As you know, we invested heavily so as to have one location for completion, so as to specialize in that, have a dedicated facility and be more efficient. And we also started to move some of our workloads to optimize the specialization of our plants. So that's what I can say for the moment for the first half of the year. And we will be happy, of course, to take questions if you've got questions.